Time to catch up now with the eNCA Money Desk. Now, South Africa's business community is holding an investment forum today with their Ugandan counterparts ahead of President Yoweri Museveni's state visit tomorrow. Both countries want to boost bilateral trade between them. eNCA's business editor Devan Murugan is attending that forum. He's joining us now live from Midrand. Good afternoon, Devan. Thank you very much for your time on today this afternoon. So what's at stake here, both for South Africa and Uganda?
Yeah, interesting. I mean, so you've mentioned in your preamble there, Bradian, good afternoon, that President Yoweri Museveni joins his counterpart, President Cyril Ramaphosa, tomorrow on that state visit. Ahead of that, the business communities of both countries want to strengthen ties. And, you know, I mean, it's not one of those big, huge collective trades that you see elsewhere. Trade with African countries and among them intra-African trades, very small by comparison with the rest of the world. But if you look at South Africa and Uganda, for example, total trade around about 2 billion rand. But it is skewed. South Africa's exports to Uganda about 1.8 billion. And the other way around, Uganda to South Africa, around about 236 million. So, you know, the Ugandans are here saying we want to change that, and we want to just do get the imbalance sorted out. And there are a number of concerns that they brought up here, and encouraging South Africans to bring up and pull up more factories there. I mean, they're growing at a rate around about 3.2%. You compare that to South Africa, we are, for this year, Reserve Bank tells us we'll grow about 0.3%. That's a huge gap. But I think ultimately the South Africans saying, look, we want to put more companies into Uganda as well. Let's talk about that. We had 70 companies at one stage, the big companies. We're dwindling somewhat to 36. Here's the Deputy Director General in the Department of Trade and Industry, and she tells us, Lerato Botoboga, about what the intentions are of this meeting. Let's just take a quick listen.
We are here to have a conversation about how we improve and boost our trade and investment relations. Actually, our trade is not as strong as it should be. We only exported last 2021 and the previous year around 2 billion rand worth of goods. Similarly, we imported around 300 million worth of goods from Uganda. So there's a lot of room for growth. If we're going to talk about intra-Africa trade, 2 billion is actually very little. In as much as there's an imbalance, the volumes and the quantum is very, very small. Similarly, on the investment front, we've seen South African investors withdrawing from the Ugandan market. We've gone down from pre-COVID, we had around 70 investors from South Africa and Uganda. We are now at 36.
And what about the Ugandans, Devan? What do they want? I mean, specifically from South Africa in terms of business?
Look, they want to get more business people into the country. They want to strengthen those ties. And I think it's a significant question, Bradan, because we see the same theme recurring, and that is South Africa's visa issues to get or facilitate business people and their managers into the country has been a problem. I mean, we've heard it through the various investment conferences that we've covered through the years. It's getting better, but not at the rate in which to allow trade to flourish. So that's one big issue. Ugandans are saying, please, sort out that visa system. Let's get the business visas sorted out as quick as possible so we can get that passage, that facilitation there. But the other thing is they're saying, look, you know, we are in Uganda, we've got the raw materials, we've got the mining materials, we've got fruit, vegetables, farming, agricultural side, but we're exporting all of these raw materials. So they want the experience to come from the South African big company and corporate players to get in there and start putting up those factories. And they're saying that's a big takeaway. Those two issues seem to be sort of dominating discussions here. Let's take a listen to the Ugandan Trade Investment Authority on that one.
So for me, the opportunity here is to say, how have you done it in South Africa to go up the value chain of all your, most of your raw materials to export the finished products? We are saying that also in Uganda. We're tired of exporting jobs out, because once you send coffee out, the person who makes it into Nescafe is having jobs in that country. Can those jobs be in Uganda? And we export Nescafe to these countries. So we are saying South Africa, we are sister countries. We have been partners in Africa for a long time. Can we also borrow and have that experience in Uganda?
Yeah, very interesting view there, very clear indeed from the Ugandan side, Devan. Business Unity South Africa, I understand, also taking part in today's forum, and they're not happy. They've taken an issue about remarks against business that were made by President Matamela Ramaphosa in his State of the Nation address on the 9th of this month.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we're often told about how the social compacts between government and the private sector are getting to a point where they will manifest themselves in the economy. But you speak to these two groupings independently, and the frustrations emanate. And I think President Cyril Ramaphosa, I think he made that remark in that State of the Nation speech where he said businesses should not stand up from the rooftops and comment. Well, Business Unity South Africa not taking that lightly at all. I mean, they're saying had it not been for the huge intervention by South African businesses on the COVID issue, for example, you wouldn't have seen such a strong, vibrant, successful rollout of vaccines. Business Unity South Africa is saying there is continuous appeals to the government to make legislation, to make policy a bit more easier for us to grow the economy. It's not coming. So that remark that came from the president during the SONA, they were not happy with, and they said that they search, they're eager, they are patriotic. Cascovadia tells me about this country's economic development, and they didn't take too lightly with those remarks. Let's take a listen to him.
It's just unfortunate that he says that business must stop being on the armchair and must actually participate.
Where did it come from?
I don't know. I mean, we're in the run-up to election. There's a whole lot of problems in the ANC. I don't know. And I'm not going to speculate on that. But the facts just do not match that statement. Okay, and we don't want to shout from the rooftops that we're working with government and supporting government. That's not the idea. But when the president unfortunately says that, when the reality is that we have mobilized business to actually work with government and try to work with government. I mean, on the bilaterals that we agreed, we had great difficulty in putting government around the table. Or they wanted to talk about the social compact that he talked about last year, right? He didn't in his SONA talk about the meeting we had with him in January, the bilaterals that we agreed. And we said we'll work with you on the social compact, but our focus and the resources and capacity we'll put in would be in the bilateral. Right? And where's the social compact? It hasn't gotten any. Right? So I think that we must stop throwing bricks at each other. Okay? I say the statement was unfortunate, whatever the reason, it's done. But let's now acknowledge that business and government needs to work together. The resources and capacity does lie in business, whether you like it or not. I think we have a patriotic business community that want to utilize those resources and capacity with government to help government achieve its objectives, which have got to be in our interests as well. And let's do that. Let's just work as real partners. Let's stop throwing bricks at each other, and let's understand that we have significant crises in this country that we need to actually address.